What it do, baby?
What's up, bro?
Let's go, man. Dude, I'm stoked about this. I was just doing some due diligence on you before we would get rolling, as I always do. And man, I think you have a really interesting story.
Just don't pull up my Facebook history from like 2016 and earlier. Stay away from all that.
Okay, cool. I'm young enough to be off of Facebook, but I'm very much in the Instagram and YouTube world, which
That's fair.
I eventually want to talk to you about. But my goal of this conversation that we're going to have here today is to get to know you and your story and how we got to where we are today because I see you now. I got to know you maybe 3 or 4 months ago through, I don't know if like we followed each other and then I was kind of maybe I sent one of your things to Mason or PJ and then I made the connection that you and PJ have some, PJ Johnson have
Yeah.
some connection. How do you know PJ? Is it a family thing through marriage?
So my brother lives in Chicago and he's got hit with the running bug pretty hard. And so him and PJ trained together for a big marathon or something, trying to break 3 hours. And like rest is history. We're all just like this little running cult group of people that all know each other and chasing the same goals.
Yeah, I may have indirectly been coaching your brother for that marathon because I was coaching PJ and I found him
And
on
he broke three
Strava.
hours.
There we go. Oh yeah. So that was the flat marathon in like somewhere in the Northeast, like Vermont or something. And he was telling me about his buddy, and that's your brother, and I'm just now making the connection. It must be the Cokinos that I follow on Strava. That's your little bro.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's Carter. And he's like he's we're two of the complete opposites in every way, shape, and form. It's like it's he's just like a freak athlete. Like he just decided he's gonna start training for this marathon stuff and like his runs went from like I mean, just freakishly slow to like, oh my God, my brother's faster than me now.
Yeah.
So it happened quick.
Wow. Well, that's gonna segue me straight into like my introduction and what I wanted to talk about because I kind of wanted to start way back in the early years and then progress up until where we are now. There's a ton of different talking points, but for the audience, today's guest is someone I've looked up to for quite some time. Kyle Cokinos, also known as Kid Koki on Instagram. He's the president of Cokinos Bond Agency, a devoted family man, and a strength and endurance athlete setting the standard in ultra marathons and high rocks styled events, some of which include target shooting with a pistol, which was an event that Kid Koki came out victorious in last weekend. Hearing about Kyle's journey will give us insight into the professional world of finance to ultra running triathlon, a 24-hour day of golf world record, all while raising money for charity. He's also the mind and operations behind Stackin Days Co, a lifestyle brand built on consistency, discipline, and stacking wins day by day. I can't wait to walk through this story from his roots to what's next. Welcome to the show, Kyle, episode 6.
Man, thank you for having me. What an introduction. It's nice to hear like all these little accolades and how we've gotten here. So that was beautifully put.
Thanks, man. So let's go back to where you're from, what your environment was growing up. I know you have a brother, any other siblings? How was your parents' parenting method? I want to hear it all.
Yeah, so I'm one of six kids. I'm the oldest of six. I've got one brother who's third in line, and we got four girls. I've got three girls or two girls of my own, another one due in November. By the end of the year, it'll be three, two, and one, or three, two, and sorry, two, one, and newborn. So we're getting started quick. And our upbringing, like shared a room with my brother all growing up, best source of accountability I could have asked for that I didn't recognize as a kid. And the reason it was like that, we all shared rooms, was because my dad, actually my phone background, since the day I got an iPhone, I don't know if you can see it. That's my
Oh yeah.
grandfather. So he was a general in World War II. And that's really where my roots start. His parents immigrated from Greece and he went to Texas A&M. We have a huge Texas A&M family. He played basketball. He's captain of the basketball team. He was on the swimming and diving team. He was actually on the scout team for the 1939 national championship team. Got his teeth kicked in by John Kimbrough, who went on to win a Heisman. He quit from that day on. But we don't have much of a quarters mentality in our family. He had 7 kids. All the boys shared a room, five men in one room, 2 girls in another. And so that's kind of how our family was raised. And very much like, my grandfather around Texas, around Houston was known as the general because he was a general in World War II, started as a forward observer. And they had a life expectancy of like, if you ever seen Saving Private Ryan, they storm the beaches. That's like, for the forward observer, your life expectancy isn't very long. He made it to being a general, and all in the midst of like being 22 in that picture, getting his silver star on the battlefield. So um, I say all that just so people know, and like great roots of enduring through difficult times and just tough mentality. We're not a tall bunch. I think the tallest Cokinos I know is probably my brother Carter. We're talking about. He's 5'11" on a good day. But he's got an inch on me there. But yeah, we're knuckle draggers. We're hardworking, and I think that's a good background kind of before I went to college. But yeah, all 7 of my
Yeah.
aunts and uncles went to A&M. I went to A&M. 3 other siblings went to A&M. For Texas A&M family.
Yeah, dude, that makes complete sense now how you have a screw loose in your head and are just a complete savage. And congratulations on the third child on the way. You really are taking girl dad
Thanks,
to a
man.
whole other level. Um, that's
I
huge.
know.
And that's a huge reason why I look up to you so much is because you seem like you're really a guy who has his boots on the ground and puts family first and understands like at the end of the day, after all this endurance stuff, like there's more important things to life. Do you ever feel an obligation or responsibility to live up to the Cokinos name? Like, you're getting up early and the sheets are feeling awfully soft, and then you're thinking, well, Grandpa was in the trenches in Normandy, so I better get out and do a little 6 mile shakeout run.
Oh man, like it's when I talk about it, it gets me fired up because the luxuries we have today to get into training and people knowing people like yourself and others that can really just like by opening your phone influence you to just get outside or reading a David Goggins quote. He didn't have any of that. Okay. It's like he's on the verge of frostbite. Like you said, I think about that a lot. Like those guys didn't have performance gear. They weren't talking about carbon shoes. They were like, I know that's all running stuff, but those guys were doing 100% cotton in the woods. A crazy story about my grandfather. When he left thinking his grandmother was sick or his mother was sick. Or sorry, his father was sick, and he got a letter while he was at war that his mother had died. And he said, "No, no, it must have been my father. No, it was his mother.
Wow.
Father was still sick, and he ultimately ended up losing both. But I just like think about like that's the mode of communication there. It's like getting a letter like that, and there's so much unknown, and it's really like self-motivation. Now it's so easy to pick up a phone and get that. So I always think back to like how my grandfather, you know, laced up his bootstraps, came with not much, and just was just a hardcore. They called him Iron Mike. He's just a hardcore knuckle dragger that just got things done, and he just figured it out. And so one way to figure it out is that first step, getting out of bed. So yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah. I'd love to see a comparison of Iron Mike's morning routine versus the modern day hybrid athlete morning routine. He's probably
Not an
doing,
Instagram friendly one. It would be about a
yeah,
3-second reel.
cigarettes and coffee and then get to work.
Right,
Um,
right.
so were you growing up in the Houston area, born and raised, and still sticking your boots in the mud there?
Yeah, yeah. Families hit that side of the family's from Beaumont, and they all kind of moved into Houston. All my aunts and uncles are here, and yeah, born and raised in Houston. Went to Memorial High School, and then graduated high school straight to Texas A&M. My background, I played all the sports like a lot of people in Texas do: baseball, basketball, football. I actually played baseball year round, and have a lot of cousins that were really good baseball players. I was not one of them, but if you're going by like the hours put into the game rule, I was a undisputed champ. Like I just put so much time into everything that I got passionate about, and it's kind of why it's brought me to here. I wasn't like very talented, but put a lot of time into it. Had some injuries kind of going into high school, and then I dropped all those sports and picked up golf, and I was a very natural swimmer. And I swam for about 6 months, and then they were like, "You have to wear whatever, a weenie bikini. I was like, I'm not doing that. I got friends. So bailed on that and then just kind of went like nosedive into golf, kind of like you did with track and field. All I want to do is play Division I golf. And so I just went ham like every day, every waking hour was before school, even playing golf and after. It was just like all I cared about.
Wow. Before you said that you switched over to golf full time, I was going to ask if you had any regrets about playing baseball as someone who really doesn't like the game of baseball. But obviously, the time you spent on golf paid out because now you're a Guinness World Record holder on the longest day of golf. And I was just looking at the stats a minute ago. I was like, holy shit, this dude did 66 birdies and 322 pars and 860 holes of golf, but that's going to be a whole entire portion that we talk about in this conversation.
Yeah.
Um, but talk to me about the difference in the grind in training for something like an Ironman or a High Rocks event or a 100-mile race and the grind in training for golf, and which one you think is harder for you, if you even view it as something that's hard. Because for
And
me, like
yeah.
I hate golf. Like it is frustrating as hell. Every time I'm golfing, I'd rather be running.
Yeah.
I like the social aspect of it, but talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think they're both extremely mental. If I had to pick a side, I don't know if I could. Because they're so extremely mental, and you can like look around and the difference between you shooting 78 and some other cat that shot 71, like he could be the guy you beat the day prior. Um, but over like 52 weeks in the year, that dude's gonna play a lot better in tournaments and advance himself forward. He's gonna play Division I golf. He's gonna like he's
More of a
just
luck
stacking up
component.
luck and it's kind of like it's just the difference honestly between like a 78 and a 71 when you have that many hours in the game and like you see these guys in the professional level is like mentally like having the confidence to get up and down from anywhere when you miss a green and not looking like just having blinders on and just focusing on your round of golf and at the same time kind of being like dumb to just kind of playing in a really relaxed manner, like you don't care. I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but not
Flow
applying all the
state.
pressure on yourself, but staying super just internal and not worrying about anyone else.
Yeah.
Best way to put it.
Not
But I
getting
think
too not getting too emotional and staying in that flow state.
right. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good way to put it. That's a really good way to put it. And I think a lot of that goes like with Ironman too. And like this competition I did this past weekend, I've been doing all this Ironman training and it like instills this like mentality of like, okay, it's a 10-hour race. It's not a 10-minute burner. It's a 10-hour race. So pace yourself out into it and finish strong. Like understand when you're going to be in the pain later on the event. And a lot of what I did this weekend was kind of like these 20, 25 minute workouts. There's a 4 hour trail run that was just an AM lap, as many laps as possible. And everyone went out at like a 7 minute pace up a hill, 300 feet of gain in the first mile. And I was looking at my watch, like, these people are crazy. It's like 35 dudes just cruising past me. And I'm like, I know I've run more than everyone, maybe but one guy in this competition. And sure enough, the wee hours of the night, once we got close to 10 p.m., 11, midnight, everyone, I'm just looping past people. And I got two more loops in. But I think it sets you mentally, both set you mentally. A golf's 18 holes of golf. An Ironman is a 10-hour event. I like that mental challenge of like, or a 100-mile or 24-hour event. You're like, you're going to face pain. It's going to get difficult. But the ability to just forward think, okay, I need to just get through this mile. I need to get through this hole. I need to get through this round. And I have so much more ahead of me. This storm's going to pass. I think it's all the same. It's all transferable over all those sports.
Yeah, that interesting this past weekend looked like an interesting one. Rally in the Valley, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
Looked super niche. It was what in West Virginia. Like it didn't
Yeah.
look like there
Hurricane,
was
West Virginia.
a lot of sponsorship hype behind it. Just some like blue collar, hardworking dudes shooting guns and working out hard. What was
Yeah.
how'd you get looped into that? Is that something that you train for?
Yeah. I'll be honest, like a lot of my strength training has like built me into something that should be decent at that. There's a lot of like guys in CrossFit, like CrossFit Games competitors that would go in and tear something like that up, but they started us from that 8 p.m. to midnight run that just like broke everyone kind of. So it was really unique. The guy that runs it, Matt Stevens, is he's a savage. He's awesome. He's like a paratrooper, like just has this big military background and just schedule these events to kind of break you and really unique facets. Like there's like heavy lifting, there's a lot of endurance, there's like knot tying and shooting pistol. It's just like things that make you super uncomfortable where if it was just thrusters or just lunges or just a run or just a bike ride, it's easy. But he's kind of throwing in these little twists that you really fixate on. And if you mess up, we saw people in this wave pool that could barely get past their knees because they're so worried about like getting knocked around. That's one of the events you go into a wave pool and pick up 3 rings from the bottom. So it was a really unique event. I'm glad I got third. But just a lot of good hard workers out there to kind of enjoy the competition with.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't get first place, that must have been like some pretty alpha dudes out there. That sounds
Yeah,
interesting to me because I've always appealed to Navy SEALs Hell Week, but nothing about the student tree part of being a Navy SEAL interests me, like knowing how to clean a gun and all the combat protocols. But
yeah,
it sounds like that's almost like a simulation of Hell Week in a way, break you in the first minute and then put you through these challenging tasks physically, mentally, emotionally. So that's dope.
exactly, exactly.
And then so you were playing sports in high school. Did you end up playing NCAA golf or
No, I didn't. I didn't. I would practice and then I'd like go out and I never missed a weekend kind of thing. So I had really just terrible balance, and I picked the latter half of that, the bad half of that, in college. I'm not like regretful or anything. I went to A&M, got a finance degree. It set me up great, but um, prioritize like fraternity life and all that stuff over keeping myself healthy. And I could probably count on one hand how many times I worked out in college. And it was just like I was almost like a high school golf burnout. Like I had some great tournaments and stuff. And then once I wasn't playing golf like I had dreamed of, it was just like throw it all in the drain. I'm not even picking up a golf club.
yeah, I'd love to hear more about that experience. I saw a picture of you and I think it was your wife at a date party in college and you were definitely doing some 12-ounce curls of course light. So don't sell yourself short. I know you were doing a lot of curls in college.
Very
Um,
good at that.
but a lot of people that I work with and coach, like PJ, like, we have high school athletics and then we go off to college. And the normal thing to do is join a fraternity. And I think there is a time and a place to drink a bunch of beer with your boys and have those
Yeah.
late nights. But sort of tell me about knowing everything that you know now, if you could go back and do something differently, or what where you think the typical fraternity college student goes right and where they go wrong. And then we're going to segue into how your experience at Texas A&M transitioned into your professional life. So, obviously,
Yeah.
I think every experience you can bring value from. Maybe if you went back and would change something than your current, like, what if you went and played golf at some small D3 school and then I don't know, never met your wife, or then you were a college golf burnout. So talk to me about that experience. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. It's like as you sit there in my mind and explain that, like my mind's just racing, thinking that it's all just like a beautiful orchestration of God's plan for what was going to happen in Kyle's life and in your life too. Like you're in Amsterdam, and when I first started chatting with you, you were in stateside. So, um, crazy things happen, and I do think I was talking about this morning on a small group I have. You have to fall on your face at some point in life. Like it's just inevitable. It's all part of this plan. Falling on your face actually just builds you and shows you a segue of like, hey, that's not the path you're intended for. Here is it. You learn those lessons and you can try and punch them into everyone around you, mentor people as much as you want. And people like you're just never going to live a perfect life. Like you're just going to have these mistakes, but they build you into exactly like you said. Like I met my wife at our fraternity house on a couch, and I walked in. I still remember exactly what she was wearing and what she looked like. And she's the complete opposite of anyone I thought I would end up with. And but I remember when I saw her, I was like single Kyle, and I just watched him disappear, and he never came back again. And
Wait, let me pause
yeah,
you there. What was your how'd you introduce yourself? Do you have a one-liner?
oh no, so not smooth. Because like I think all of her like girlfriends, they were all tried out today, and like there's a few of them that are trying to like kind of facilitate us and put us together. And
Wow. Hang on.
like
Sorry, I keep cutting you off. I just have to like when I hear something, I have to like get my thought out before I lose it. You and
yeah,
I are both married to triadelts, so I guess
three
that
times
makes
better,
us
just one letter, baby.
there we go. I guess that makes us brothers in a way.
That's right. Oh, that's hilarious, man.
We're
Um,
we're fraternity brother-in-laws.
that's right. That's right. We can take that. We can take that
There
for
we go.
sure. Um, yeah, yeah. She was tried out, and so I kind of tried to play it cool, but like I had this agreement like that I was just not gonna date anyone in college, and I had this great plan, and then like Tekla would probably not want me to say this. She used to have a septum piercing in her nose. She wasn't like a goth or anything, but it was just like not like a girl with piercings or tattoos was not my type, and she's never had that again since. And you'd look at her now and not believe that story, but it's true. You also wouldn't
Dude,
believe that I was like a just like just didn't act wasn't active a day of my life in college, but it was just a phase.
wow. My wife had a nose ring when I met her and was a tried out, and now she doesn't. She wants to bring it
This is
back though.
amazing. No
That's
way.
crazy. And then you went through the standard Texas A&M student life. What came first? The professional world where you gotta strap your boots up and then, start providing for yourself, or the endurance high rocks training? What came first, training or the professional world?
That's a good question. It was definitely professional world. I studied finance at A&M, and I got straight into banking. The path intended was to be a duck hunting guide in Louisiana. I had that all like set up, and then a buddy was like, "Dude, you got a finance degree. Come work at this bank. You don't like it, you can always do the duck hunting thing." And I did it, and I'm grateful I did it. I was just thrown into the ringer of 2 years of like really good underwriting skills and like analyzing a lot of bank deals. We were understaffed as analysts and had like so much deal flow. And it's what kind of shaped my mind, like understand the first pieces of like applying a finance degree to running a business, um, cash flowing a business and all that. So it was definitely all work. I shared a cubicle with an extremely fit dude that could probably pound me into the sand if he wanted to. Right now, his name is Charlie Russell, and he just was like, "Dude, just come work out with me just like one day." And I was like, "Okay, I'll start working out with you." There's a gym connected to the parking garage. It was probably like 1,000 square feet. It was tiny, but he still to this day, like I've never seen someone train so intensely. And he'd start like a Monday or Wednesday workout with a bench press, and I'm like 22 at this time, and he was like, "All right, you go in," and I wouldn't get on the bench press at 22 years old. I'm not that far from that age. I wouldn't touch the bench press because I tell him I had back problems from golf because I was afraid of a 45-pound bar falling on my chest and me not being able to get it up. Like no weights on
Wow.
it. That's where I was.
Wow. So how many months into your job was the first training day?
I would say it's probably 4 or 5 months. Yeah,
Okay. And when you were thrown into the ringer, understaffed finance job, were you working these insane hours, like, 10, 12 hours a day, hardly at home? Like it's kind of typical.
for sure. Yeah, yeah. It was like they're very much like you were late to work. Everyone in the office knew we were on like the upper management floor. And I was in there by 7:30. The AC would cut off in the office at 6 p.m. And I remember just so many days we were just like in there. And Charlie, the God love him, super fit dude, but he just was a sweater. If it was like under 74 degrees or anywhere over like 72 degrees, he'd just start pouring sweat. I remember we working on deals, and he'd just be drenched and have a jug of water. It was chaos, but it was great, great teaching.
That's brutal, man. Yeah, that's an interesting thing to me because when I was in college, really the degree I got was not rigorous at all. I was basically eat, sleep, run, and train. And I knew how to push myself really hard in training. And everyone assumed that I was like the most disciplined person in the world because I was a distance runner. But the truth is, I didn't have endurance for work and being a student. So, like, when I got thrown into the professional world, suddenly I didn't have 14 hours in a day to get a 2 hour training session in. So, it really made me like prioritize sleep and time. And if I want to get the training in, I'm going to have to make the time for it. Did you have to develop that because you're such a well-rounded human and like success to me isn't the amount of money in your bank account, it's your health, your family, your professional career, all these kind of things. Did that take a lot of development for you, or have you had that endurance, that professional endurance from a young age because you've just always been kept so busy?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I have to say, like a lot of it just comes from my dad. He built a construction law practice from before I came out the womb to today. He's still working and supporting six kids. And there was mornings, there was weeks where we kind of wouldn't see him because he was out the door by 5 and getting home at like 8 or 9 p.m., grabbing his stuff and going to dinner with a client or with someone he did business with. And my dad is the hardest worker I know, like leaps and bounds ahead of where I am. And he also extremely fit. My dad's a strong, strong dude. And just, I didn't recognize it or appreciate it at all when I was a kid. And it's just funny the apple doesn't fall very far. Like now I look at myself and I'm just like this spitting image of exactly kind of what my dad's done. And now we can have these conversations of me doing this competition this weekend and goals I'm trying to go for an Ironman and stuff, and it's great. But all of that was like it was totally ingrained in me as a kid, this hard work and getting in those hours. My dad would grind, he'd be in the gym at 3:30, 4 in the morning, and just like training in our garage or training down the street as close as he could and making it easy to stay fit and then get in the office and just grind through work. So a lot of people don't think it's achievable, and it's not really a balance. There's never really any balance. It's just you just got to make that split decision of like yes or no and not linger on it. And the more we're on these things and like gathering opinions and over analyzing things, the slower you're going to be to make decisions and get yourself in that, flow state of like train, work hard, take care of your family and repeat that cycle. It's pretty simple when you say it like that, but a lot of
Yeah.
distraction.
And how do you manage all of your different priorities now with Stackin Days Co, Cokinos Bond Agency, two daughters, a third one on the way, a wife, going and racing, training? Do you have 1,000 milligrams of caffeine every day? Are you able to just operate on 5 hours of sleep very efficiently? Do you have a calendar where your time is like so freaking structured that you're just like busy all the time, all day, getting shit done? And
Yeah.
then like talk to me about that.
I don't my wife would like laugh at the last piece, the calendar piece, because like I am probably the worst calendar keeper of all time. Like I'm a product of the highest point of ADHD you could imagine. And I've like toned it down and I look all professional for you in front of the camera. I do not drink caffeine very regularly. I have a buddy who just started a coffee company and he made me plow through a freaking bag of it. So I'm flirting with caffeine. I am an early riser. I don't get a lot of sleep. I bet my watch would tell you like 5.5 to 6 hours a night. And again, childhood, sharing a room with a brother, or a bunch of siblings. If one was up, we're all up. So we didn't sleep past 6 a.m. I still feel lazy if I do that today. Um, but I think I'm trying to think back to your question, like what it is that's made me balance it. And it goes back to the direction of just like meeting my wife. I have the most amazing, I truly think I have just the most amazing wife ever. And at the time I married her thinking, man, she's gonna be a great mother. But she's so much more than that. I mean, she's like the keeper of the spirit of our home. She takes care of these girls. She's pregnant. She runs her own interior design business. And there's boiling points for sure, and times where we just want to punch each other. But she is just a patient, amazing woman. She lost her mother to cancer when we were dating. And I think it just like it actually shaped her into so much stronger of a woman. She taken on this full responsibility of herself and others around her, and she treats everyone so kindly, and she just tolerates my chaotic schedule. And yeah, she's an amazing woman. Having an amazing woman is like it's like I would say it's probably like 80% of the puzzle right there.
The biggest
Once you get great
decision,
help.
it's the biggest decision you'll ever make in your life. She,
100%, man.
I know if she heard that, she would have a huge smile on her face. Maybe not at the answer to the next question. Who does the cooking?
Well, it's transformed. Her mom and her started a sandwich shop in New Braunfels like 20 years ago or whenever she was in middle school, and she was a great cook, and she still is. And she can cook like a mean sandwich or something, but we are like a very much a hour or less cooking of dinner like once a week kind of family, or it's going to be a 5 or 10 minute meal because schedule's moving fast. And so it's turned into like Tekla making gourmet meals to like after probably the second, after we had Clement, she's very much a venison and rice girl, just like me. And we're fine with that.
Let's go.
But it's like, yeah, it's like simpleton as it comes. And it started all like, it would have been a great, we could have started a great Instagram food blog. No more of that in the Cokinos house. It's just, it's venison, rice, cottage cheese, and very simple meals.
It's just eating because you have to. What's your
Right.
relationship? What's your relationship with food and nutrition when it comes to training? Is it just calories and sleep? That's how you recover?
For sure, for sure. I think I just carb I prioritize protein. I'm like a 200 grams of protein a day kind of guy. And then carbs like in and around for fueling training sessions. I think like there's I got so afraid of like eating too many carbs, and yeah, you look great and lean for the most part if you're just like a just consuming a bunch of protein, but the power output is just minimal if you are not fueling around sessions. And my fueling's simple. I'm like blueberries, honey, sourdough bread, like but very simple things I can put it in scratch in like 5 minutes. But I'd be lying if I said through all this Ironman stuff, I don't stop at a gas station and get like the mega Rice Krispie treat bar and like nerds clusters. And I do all that stuff, but I always think of that stuff, and you're probably like this too. If I have that, I think of that stuff during that session. I'm like, power output's like 20% higher. I'm cranking on the bike, and it's like, all right, use that fuel.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of these triathlons and ultra endurance challenges are kind of like starting to turn into also eating competitions. Like, how many carbs can you really keep down an hour to put out the most amount of output? But then if you're like me, your heart is just going to crash and burn and you're going to zombie walk 60 miles of a 100-mile race.
No, your story, dude, that is, I was telling someone about that this weekend. That is so epic that you got as far as you did with that much
Man,
caffeine.
dude, I think I sent you a little message about this, but man, that was a brutal race. If the best way I can describe it is like it was like hitting the wall of a marathon, except I did that at mile 30 and it was just hard to come back from. But don't feel bad about this because I laugh on it looking back now. But when I was at like 65, 70 miles, all I could play in my head was it's time to find out. Are you a dog or are you just all talk? And I'm like, I'm just all talk, dude. I'm not built for this. That shit
I'm a
had me
dog, I
cracking up.
swear.
Man,
Um,
that disappointment though, the comeback is gonna be real. It's the comeback arc
yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's gonna make exactly, man. I mean, and that's such a good. I mean, it's true though. I know you're gonna do it. It's like it's this very small glimpse of like it's not even failure, man. I was like talking to someone about it recently. Failure is such a stupid word that we like let be negative because we're talking about you failing a race. Like that's gonna set you up for a really good race, and
Yeah.
it might be 5 or 10 years from now, or it might be like 6 months or something. I don't know what it's gonna be.
It'll be like 5 months or so because we got
Okay.
monk
Okay,
mode.
good.
We got monk mode going on now. But yeah, I agree. It would only be a failure if I were to hang up the shoes and say, "Nah, I'm not built for this."
Yeah.
I did feel that way for about a week there, but we're back
Yeah.
on the up. Tell me about how you got introduced to the world. I know you went on your first workout with your coworker who was just ripped buff dude. Tell me about how you got involved in high rocks, ultra marathons, triathlon. Because you come
Yeah.
from a golf background, you were in finance. Now you cover bonds and insurance. I don't really know how that world exactly works, but tell me how you got into the endurance space.
Yeah, I think so. My buddy that I shared that cubicle with, he was doing that. He was doing high rocks, and I was like, "This looks cool. I'm gonna sign up for a doubles one in
What year was
Dallas." And
this?
man, I bet it was like 2019 or 2018. It was before COVID. It was probably
Must have
2018.
been unless I was just living under a rock. Must have been like very new into the high rocks thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. On the state side for sure. Like High Rocks was very early, and I'll say it like my brother and I did this doubles competition. We got fourth, and we made it to U.S. championships. And I was like, we trained for like 8 weeks. Like what are you talking about? And I think we were running like I don't know, at a 7:30 or 8 minute pace between stations. Like not what it is now. Um and so in that I started kind of getting, going crazy with high rocks. I was like, who is the best at this? And up the top was Hunter McIntyre. And Hunter, I didn't even know who he was. I just kept seeing this H McIntyre, like record for the best sled, H McIntyre. And I was like, who is this guy? And I ran into him at a bar in Dallas, like frat boy Kyle. Like I was just drinking, partying, wearing a Lakers jersey, and he was like, "Where's that jersey?" Like I was just being an idiot. I was like, "I just did high rocks." He's like, "I did it too." I'm Hunter McIntyre. I was like, "You're the dude. You're the dude
I'm
on
the
the
world record
leaderboards."
holder. Yeah.
He is, and like we have since become like Hunter's like probably my best friend. And we just he like just like a genuine like true friend. And I was like, man, we were like drunk sitting at this bar, happiest hour in Dallas. And I was like, he was like, you should come train with me. And I was not like who I am now. My dad was jacking with me about it yesterday, actually. He was like, when you told me you were going to train with those guys, I was like, that's stupid. You don't even know what you're getting into. And I did. I got beat around and I thought I was cooking and I just wasn't. But that's really where I was like, dang, these dudes are crushing me. They're teaching me how to run and like all this stuff. And I hated that feeling. I was like, I can't do anything they can do. Um, I'm gonna go all in on this stuff and figure out how to just like rub shoulders with the likes of Hunter and them. And Hunter's a freak. Great, but just like if there's anything that I've learned from Hunter, it's just like how to give back to people that want to train and work hard. And so like I've gotten all this knowledge and bounced so much around him. He's just kind of taught me everything with training, and I've tried to kind of give back like he does tenfold. And that's really where I got the start, right there before COVID.
That is an insane introduction to High Rock story. That needs to be written up about. And then from High Rocks to 100 milers and Ironmans, is that just the evolution of the endurance athlete?
For sure. Yeah, I was like, and Hunter's a big part in that too. I told him, I was like, yeah, there's this half Ironman like an hour down the road from me. And he's like, oh, a half Ironman? That's really cool. A half? You're gonna do a half? That's really cool, guy. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do a half. And so I look for a full and yeah.
Yeah, that's he stole that from Daniel Tosh. He's like, if you've ever run a half marathon in your life, you can shut the hell up. Like no one brags about reading half a book. You do the whole thing. That's
It's so
hilarious.
true. It's so true. Now we're in the world of like where people say I'm training for my Ironman. You like go look at it and it's like they're doing a 70.3. I'm like, God love them. That is not, come on, guys.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on.
You're not
Stolen
an
valor.
Ironman. Yeah. Yeah, stolen valor. That's a good way to put it. Going off script here for a minute. I know you're training for Ironman California right now. I'm curious what your top of the mountain race or event or like something that you really, really, really want to just experience one day in terms of a race or competition.
I think right now it's just like so heavy on my mind, is breaking 10 hours in an Ironman. Like I'm suited to do it in all three of those aspects of swimming, biking, running. I just haven't put it together. And I feel like I'm gonna give it a really good shot here in California. If I don't, we'll go back to the drawing board, but I'm doing everything in my will to get it done in October because we have the baby in November. And I just, from past experience with these first two, I know those next 2 months, it ain't happening. Like there's no goal chasing, at least leaving the house for those first 8 weeks of a baby, especially. So, um, I think breaking that time in the Ironman is big for me. I don't know if Ironman's like a long-term pursuit, and I think you've talked about this too, just how expensive and demanding it is on relationships. Like you have to really pick a phase and understand that you're not going to have 20, 25-hour, 30-hour training weeks and tell yourself like I'm going to chase this goal to intensity while I can train for it, but knowing my training's not going to be like I don't live for this thing. I have so much more going on in my life, and if I don't hit it, I'm not a failure. But in the midst of my training, I'm training hard to break 10 hours.
Yeah, what's going to define you at the end of the day isn't going to be a 10-hour and 1 minute Ironman versus a 9:59 Ironman. It's going to be how you show up for your daughters and your wife and be a servant of God. Um,
100%. 100%. Yeah, way more
that's
important. Go ahead.
well, I was gonna segue into the 24 hours of golf, but then I was also gonna ask, would you ever do a 200 plus mile race?
100%. 100%. Yeah, I
Let's
I
go.
want it, man. Like I watch like people like Matt Johnson and stuff do that run across Texas, and I'm like, how could I talk my family into that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to do the long multi or the over 24-hour time frame, whatever it is.
Yeah, let's talk about the 24 hours of golf. Obviously, we learned you have a golfing background. What was the inspiration or the spark to that project?
Yeah, I think everyone always asks that. It's like my buddy Clayton is the one who came up with this idea of this par three or this short course in Houston, and he was like, "Man, I'm gonna do this thing," and I was just kind of getting in my endurance world, and I was like, and he knew I was a golfer, so he bounced a lot of questions off me, and then one day it came to fruition. He was like, "You should see how fast you can play it." And so I did the loop. I did it in under 10 minutes. And I was like, dang, that was crazy. So that means I could get like 6, 9 hole loops in an hour if I just sent it. Um, and then I was like, he was like, is there a record for 24 hours? And I looked into it. The guy had said it in 2019, Eric Burns. He played shortstop for the Padres. And I was like, I can beat that. It's like this dude, he's also a guy who ran Western States. He's a freak. So much respect for him. Now he's like a professional pickleball player. But he was a legend, like a gritty freaking. If you go watch Eric Burns' YouTube videos, that should be anyone's homework that watches this. You yourself, that is like a junkyard dog. Like the guy was a savage, just laying out his life for ground balls and pop flies and stuff.
Dude,
Um,
I love people like that so much because they perfectly illustrate it's not about the level of talent you have. Like, we can put a piano in front of Eric Burns. He's going to be a damn good piano player. You can go find a
Spot
way.
on.
Yeah.
Spot on. Yeah. That's and I was like, ooh, I like that made me want to do it even more. I was like, this guy, I can put myself on the ranks of this guy. And I messaged him. I was like, hey man, I'm coming after your record. And no response. And like I just kept pinging him, pinging him. I got one response. He was like, good luck getting with Guinness. They're impossible. Happy to help you. Guinness is impossible. The day you decide to do a Guinness World Record, let's talk because I'm gonna start an alternate record authority that is superior to Guinness and actually helps people get them done and doesn't charge them an arm and leg. We can
Did
segue
you
into
did
that some other time.
I just got back from Ireland. Did you know that the Guinness World Record is the same company as Guinness beer?
No, I would believe it, and I believe 95% of them are probably drinking Guinness beer while trying to help people achieve world records.
Yeah, I looked into the dribbling a basketball world record. It's like a 240 marathon. Like, that's easy money. But then I looked into the Guinness World Record. It's like $600 for an application, and then you have to have all these proof of whatever. Um,
Yeah, and like yeah, it's $600 and then $1,000 to expedite it and get an answer within a month, and then they give you a number and say this is what it's going to cost to do this. You're going to fly out a judge. You're going to give him 2 night stay, 4-star hotel or better, pay for his flight, and even then, if you don't break the record, you've just spent $8,000 or something. It's crazy. So
yeah,
yeah,
it honest,
but
it honest,
we worked it out a little bit. I appreciate Guinness.
it honestly sounds like how a lot of Europe works. Like, things are really slow moving.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we've all heard the challenges that come along with a 100-mile race, a 24-hour event. What specific challenges do you have when you're carrying a golf club, swinging it, playing holes of golf, you're on grass the whole time? What challenges did you face during that?
Really good question. Um, the start was even tough. There was a downpour like 30 minutes before, and I was committed to wearing these friggin' A6 Meta Speeds, which in hindsight, like there's just no grip on grass with that. It's like a glass floor.
Also, no
Um,
stability.
Correct. Yeah, no stability. Like in hindsight, I was like, I just like that it's kind of a gray shoe and it's a little comfy, so I'm just gonna wear it. And I could have chosen a lot better shoe. But I didn't take it off the whole time. What you're dealing with out there is you're hinging over like I think we did the math. I was bending over, picking up a ball, putting down a ball, picking up a towel, anything really, over 5,000 times, and your lower back is just lit, like just in all the hinges are lit, like your hips, and you're constantly like stretching your glutes. Like I know it sounds like a baby, but when you're doing it 5,000 times over 24 hours, like that stuff is just shot, and you're swinging. I think I had over 3,000 swings. Your grip's starting to fail because you get these little blister bubbles. Because the course I was on from start to finish, there's not a tree. There's zero trees, and it was 98 degrees out there, so you're sweating, and then you're grabbing this hot black grip, and there's just bubbles forming on your hands that you just didn't really foresee. And so you're like, do I pop them? Do I just leave them? When are they going to pop in the middle of a swing? And you're kind of being delicate with it, and you just start to just shut it off. And you're like, if they pop, they pop. I did tell, I mean, one of my sayings during it was I talked to my buddy Anthony probably like an hour before, and he was like, "The devil's the great deceiver. Every time you're out there doubting you can finish this, remember you're doing it for a greater cause. You're trying to raise $100,000 for this camp, and the devil is always going to try and deceive you and make you think that you can't do it, or you're failing, or maybe you should just come up short of your goal of getting past 800." And there were so many times that happened. If you watch the live stream, I think we got to noon, and we did the math, like kind of dumb math at the tent. And I was like, if I waste any more than about 30 seconds per loop at the aid station, I will not hit 800 holes. So for the last 6 hours, I was just telling Carly, one of the girls there, and my wife, like, peel the cheese off pizza, hand me a Coke, a bunch of electrolytes, and that's what I need as I go from hole nine to hole one. And we have to do that in the next 6 hours. And we did it. And we achieved, we barely scratched over 800, but we got it done.
Holy cow. And that smashed the previous record, didn't it?
It did, and I should say like Eric's course was a lot longer, um, and he did it like on a traditional like course on the West Coast. I think his was like 6,000 yards. Ours was, if I guess if you add them up, it's like 3,800 yards or something. I don't know what the math is, or sorry, maybe it's 3,000. I can't remember. But regardless, yeah, we got a lot more. I mean, it was ambitious to go for over 800, but yeah, we got it done.
Let's go. How much money did you end up raising and what was the cause for? I know the
Uh,
camp.
so
Was that the flood?
no, it wasn't involved with the flood. Camp Aransas, it's a camp down on the coast that actually one of my clients started down in Rockport, Texas. They take in kids with disabilities, illnesses, cancer, missing limbs, and they'll bring them down to this camp. They have a big old zip line. They have kayaking, sailing, fishing, birding, all these cool experiences that these kids don't really get. They're robbed of when they're in the hospital. Um, and so the objective was to raise $100,000, and we exceeded that. We raised about 110, and that sends over, I think that sends 145 kids to a week at camp. Because what this camp does is uniquely, they pay for two-thirds of the dues for these kids. And so, and sometimes they'll even, if you've got a sibling that doesn't get to spend much time with you in the hospital, and you've all been robbed of that like brother, sister, brother, brother, sister, sister relationship, they'll bring the sibling up with you and let you camp out and like have a week with them, and enjoy those experiences with you. So, I'd say I was thinking of the devil being the great deceiver, but also a lot of that time I was thinking, man, these kids probably that are going out to this camp won't even get to play one hole of golf. So like if I can just push through a little more, every hole I play is going to raise more money because people are literally contributing dollar amounts per hole. So That was pretty easy motivation there.
That's awesome, dude. Big ups to you using your platform as a way to support the community. And yeah, I was thinking when you were talking about the devil working hard, I was thinking about the quote, "The devil works hard, but Kid Koki works harder." Let's
Yes, I
go.
love that. Let's put on a
That's your
shirt.
that I was about to say that's your next shirt for Stacking Days, which is like the last big thing I wanted to talk to you about. And before we get into the details of the company and what the vision is, I want to hear about your experience getting onto social media because I think you've got an awesome story. You're good in front of the camera, but a lot of people, you know, they want to they have something to offer to the world, but they're scared to make that step because maybe it's fear of embarrassment, maybe it's a feeling of inadequacy. What was your beginning of the social media platforms building? What did that look like? And tell me about kind of that journey.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I actually stopped using Instagram for pretty much the first 3 months of last year. I just like completely ignored it. And um, what ended up happening is I went on like a hunting trip. I took some clients and they were all really curious about like how I train and what I eat. And I was like, man, this is everyone always like asks this. I just need to freaking post about it some more. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this one more shot and really kind of share what Kyle's doing and have these answers for people where I can just be like, look at this video. And surely more people are wondering other than just the person I'm sitting in front of. So I started doing that, and then I started the YouTube channel 6 months ago. And a lot like you, just reps of just sharing my knowledge and expecting nothing in return. Um, one quote that our priest at our church said, he was leaving, and he said, "You never really find yourself until you lose yourself serving others." And that resonated with me so hard because nothing was ever working when I was just trying to kind of do it after like social or selfish desires of like, how can I better myself in this position? And then I just was like, I just kind of let go of this. And there's no gatekeeping. There's no gatekeeping to what you're doing. And it's why you're having so much success. And it's the same story with me. It's just kind of sharing these experiences, this story of, this YouTube channel and stuff. And it's grown quickly. And a lot of people are curious, and a lot of people don't have answers of how to handle this busy schedule as a dad, as just a man, and like stay well trained and healthy and kind of dumb it down a little bit. So that's all I'm trying to show people is like you still can pursue these things. You have to have an amazing wife and family behind you. Your priorities have to be straight. But it's simple when you just boil it down to this very clean list. But it's not going to be easy, right? Like you said, it's hard to get out of bed and consistently train. And that's where the term stacking days came from. It's just stacking days every day. I just kept repeating it on YouTube, and so it's just led to a lot of people asking to make hats and shirts of it. And I just made a script on Canva and put it on a shirt and a hat, and then now people are loving wearing it.
Yeah, dude, I need to get some of that. I'm not sure if you shipped to Amsterdam, but did you feel like it was an accurate description of your brand when I said in the introduction, a lifestyle brand built on consistency, discipline, and stacking wins day by day?
Dude, I need that. Like, I'm so glad that this is recorded because I'm gonna just steal that and just that's gonna be the mantra of the website because it came up very naturally and organically from you, not me. So I loved it. It was perfect.
It's huge, dude, and you have the experience to understand that that's where the real gains and growth come from. It's not being a hero and a workout twice a month. It's day after day, consistency, stacking days. That's
Stacking
what it's
days,
all
man.
about.
Yeah, and it floods into everything, right? Like it really doesn't even have to be fitness for people, right? It's like up until recently, like I wasn't very deep in my faith. Like I kind of just like wore it and people knew I'm Greek Orthodox Christian, but I just like really didn't pay attention. There was no relationship with God there. And through some great friends and a great Bible study and stuff, I really kind of found my way into the Word and actually growing a relationship with Christ and feeling it and stacking days of reading my Bible, whether it's like 5 minutes or it's this routine now where it's out on my table. It's kind of my morning ritual um, before the chaos hits, and just being able to just dive in if you don't even if you're not even a Christian or you don't believe in all that, that's fine. There's just good, like real world application and advice in the Bible. And that's really how I first jumped into it. I was like, okay, well, everything I hear from this thing is great. And I've lived my whole life with a family that's, we've grown up in the church. I've had every opportunity, but I've avoided it. And I'm gonna start taking it seriously and reading it. And sure enough, man, the answers are all in that big, thick book. And if I can just learn like about 1% of it by the end of my life, I'll be proud. But so far, stacking days of reading with the family, working out, it's all really flooded into every aspect of my life. So that's why I like to just kind of keep reinforcing it.
Yeah, man. The more we talk, the more I'm thinking you're my brother from another mother because, my faith was very much being a part of a religion and not having a relationship with God. And I kind of viewed the scripture and the Bible as a rule book and not a set of principles to follow. I thought, I become drunk, being a drunkard is a sin in the Bible. I thought, oh, I'm not worthy of God's love, but it's really not about that. We could have a entire conversation about that, which I think would be huge. I think it's awesome that you're incorporating that into your content and what you talk about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Look at the life of Paul. I mean, like there's a man literally killing Christians. And I read yeah, we can say we can go 2 more hours talking about that, but I'm with you, man. We grew up very similarly.
what message do you want people to take from Stacking Days? I know we just talked about it a bunch, but what do you want your impact to be?
Um, hmm, that's a really good question. I think just like this that idea kind of going back to losing yourself and helping others and you actually find your identity and or not identity. I hate to say that. Let me take that back. But like you really there's it's so much more gratifying to help other people. And so I'd love for people to see kind of what I'm putting out and pay it forward. Just like help with mentorship of someone else that needs it or asks for it because it takes a lot of courage to just for someone to be real vulnerable and say like I don't know what I'm doing and a lot of people don't want to do it. And so by sharing your message, whether it's like voluntarily or like people are actually asking you to do it, you're helping other people and you're guiding other people just like I say my buddy Charlie got me into fitness or meeting Hunter or following your page. Like there's so many influences out there that can just put someone on the right path, just start them off and like it's up to them to skyrocket themselves and really take it on full on. So back to your question, yeah, just help others, just pay it forward. Kind of whatever I'm sharing, there's someone out there that needs to hear it from you too, and you don't even know the people you can help. This YouTube thing, I get messages from people from like Germany, Brazil, Africa, across the US. It's been amazing, and like I'm not really doing it to have this like takeover of stacking days or help. I'm just really doing it just to share what I'm going through, and it's been really gratifying seeing that.
And that's why it's effective. People can smell out if it's for personal gain, and it's clearly not. And yeah, what you just described to me is like you are already having this impact, but the impact that you want to have is you want to help people find their way so that they can live their life to their highest form. And it brings me back to that quote, most men live lives of quiet desperation, and someone can see you and think, oh, maybe this is possible for me, like shredded 100-mile ultra marathoner, world record holder, but he was doing, 12-ounce curls in college just like me. So I just want to say, like, thanks for fighting the good fight. It's huge. And it's
Yeah,
it's really it's really refreshing to see.
man, back at you, like you're doing the same thing. Like every time I see you post something, I try to stay off this thing, like or time myself with how much I'm on it. But I love what you're preaching. I love I pull something every time. I think a lot about your best one. You've had so many good ones, but your best one is the quotes, the top five like hardest quotes. And Walmsley had the best one, in my opinion, for at least right now that I'm thinking of. And if you're not willing to just like it's something along the lines like if you're not willing to send it, like you probably know it better than me.
I think it's
Uh,
if you're not willing to risk blowing up, you're never going to try your find your true potential or limit or whatever.
yes, yes, and that's like that fear of failure thing, and like we could have an hour long talk about that. But I've like really thought about that quote since I read it from you. I didn't know you said that, but I really thought about that quote in the middle of training when I was like, oh, I'm just gonna zone two this bike workout and just kind of mail it home. And the fact that I'm out here is good enough. Like there's days where you really need to push and find that energy. And yeah, reading something like that, again, this is where you go. You shared something like that, it's influenced me. So there you go.
Yeah, when I DNF'd that 100 miler in Ireland, I gave the news to the course record holder because, like you, I told him, "Hey, I'm coming for your record." Had to put my clown nose on after that. But he said, "You know what, dude? Like, props to you for going for it because a lot of people go through that entire race without ever actually challenging themselves." And that kind of hit me. Like, you can power hike 100 miler. It's going to be a mental grind and you're going to get sore. But um, even in Ironmans and marathons, like you can go through those things without like really challenging yourself. It's still going to be a long grind, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Like I know like I just want to mention this. Like what I've learned from Hunter is he cannot prepare as long as I do for an event, but his the level of intensity at which he goes after like when you're on the race floor is amazing. I mean, we did this one I'm gonna try and make this like 1 minute. We did this one thing called the Starvation Triathlon. It's called the Starvation for a reason. It is like mile for mile the hardest triathlon in the world. It's harder than the Norseman. It's a qualifier for the Norseman. He probably put like eight, not even 8 weeks of training. He probably put six in, and he did it on a road bike, and he cooked me on the bike. I caught up with him on the run and almost caught him and didn't. But the way he finishes that race, he looks like a raccoon with eyes like buried in the back of his skull.
oh
And
man,
I mean, he's like knocking on death's door, but like sending it in like that, versus what some people kind of find as like hard. Like, remember, you signed up for this event, so like yeah, you're putting yourself through this pain, and it's whether you want to go like 60% or 100%. But on race day, when you cross that line, you better make sure you don't have any regrets about how hard you pushed yourself. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time.
yeah, totally, totally, totally. That's so cool. You have so many personal stories with Hunter, and I'd love to hear more about
Oh yeah, we
that
go for it.
triathlon. But as we've talked about most of this episode, I know you're a very busy man. Kid Koki, this has been my favorite discussion I've had to this date. I appreciate you. Keep fighting the good fight, and we're going to stay in touch. Best of luck in your Ironman training up until October and with the pregnancy and everything else that you're juggling.
Yeah, man, we have so much more to catch up on, but I appreciate you asking me to be on this and just sitting down and chat for an hour. I've loved it, and I have a lot to learn about you because I feel like I just blabbered around for an hour and you had amazing questions. So next time I get to come up to Amsterdam and we'll have a beer and I'll get to interview you.
Perfect. Yeah, we got to do it in person next time.
I love it. I love it, man.
All right. Thank you to the audience. Where can we find you, Kyle?
Okay, yeah, Kid Koki, KIDCOKI. It's on Instagram and YouTube, and then Stackin STACKIN Days .com is where we sell cool things like this, and you can get them.
Let's
If you're
go.
also, I'm not smart enough on Shopify to put international shipping prices, so the people outside of the US are robbing me, and I'm loving it. They're getting like it's like 45 bucks to ship over there and they're paying $7. So until I figure that out, you guys are winning.
Yeah, bro. I've been there. It's horrible. But yeah, all international buyers go make Kyle go broke. All
Bring it,
right.
baby. I'd love to see it.
Episode
All right,
six to a
brother.
close.